The Discovery. The massive alien warship drifted silently through the void near Jupiter, a monument to arrogance and abandonment. For 3 years it had orbited the gas giant like a metal moon, dark and seemingly dead. The Krex Empire had left it behind after their failed invasion of Earth, considering it too damaged to salvage and too insignificant to destroy. They thought humanity was beaten, broken, reduced to picking through the scraps of a war that had cost billions of lives. They were wrong. Captain Maria Chen stood on the bridge of the salvage vessel Persistence, her weathered hands gripping the command rail as she studied the alien dreadnought through the viewport. The ship was enormous, easily 10 times the size of any human vessel ever constructed. Its hull was a twisted mass of biometallic armor, scarred from the final battle over Earth when humanity's desperate nuclear strikes had crippled it. But crippled didn't mean dead, not to humans who had rebuilt entire cities from radioactive ash. "Captain, we're getting strange readings from the derelict," Lieutenant Sarah Reeves reported from her sensor station. "There's still power flowing through some sections." "Minimal, but it's there," Maria nodded slowly. She had suspected as much. The Krex built their ships to last, integrating organic components with advanced metallurgy in ways human scientists were only beginning to understand. "Prepare the boarding team. Tell Walker I want him suited up and ready in 10 minutes. Jonas Walker was the best engineer humanity had left, which wasn't saying much considering how many they'd lost in the war. But what he lacked in formal training, he made up for in raw determination and an uncanny ability to understand alien technology. He'd spent the last 2 years studying every piece of Krex tech the Resistance had managed to capture. This derelict was his chance to prove that humans could do more than just survive. They could adapt, learn, and strike back. The boarding party consisted of 12 specialists, each chosen for their expertise in different fields. They approached the derelict in a small shuttle, dwarfed by the alien vessel's massive bulk. Up close, the damage was even more apparent. Entire sections of the hull had been melted and reformed, creating grotesque sculptures of fused metal and organic material. But Walker saw something else. He saw potential. They entered through a breach in the lower hull, their mag boots clicking against the alien deck plates. The interior was a maze of curved corridors and organic-looking chambers. Everything was designed for beings at least 3 meters tall, making the humans feel like children exploring a giant's castle. The air was stale but breathable, maintained by some kind of automated life support system that had kept running all these years. Walker led them deeper into the ship, following power conduits that glowed faintly with bioluminescent energy. His scanner picked up increasing levels of activity the further they went. "The core is still active," he said through his helmet comm. "It's in some kind of hibernation mode, but it's definitely alive." They found the command center after 2 hours of careful exploration. It was a vast chamber dominated by a throne-like control interface that seemed to grow from the floor itself. Organic panels pulsed with weak light, and strange symbols flickered across surfaces that looked more like skin than metal. Walker approached the throne cautiously, his instruments going wild with readings. "This is it," he whispered. "This is how they control everything. It's not just an interface. It's a neural link. The ship bonds with its commander, becomes an extension of their will." Captain Chen's voice crackled through the comm. "Can you activate it?" Walker studied the throne, running his hands over its surface. The material was warm to the touch, almost alive. "I think so. But it's designed for Krex physiology. We'd need to modify it, adapt it for human neural patterns. How long? With the right resources and team? 6 months, maybe 8. You have 4. The next 4 months were a blur of activity. Earth's remaining governments, united for the first time in human history, poured every available resource into the project. Scientists, engineers, and technicians worked around the clock, slowly unraveling the secrets of Krex technology. They learned that the aliens' superiority came not from more advanced science, but from a different approach entirely. Where humans built machines, the Krex grew them. Where humans programmed computers, the Krex cultivated artificial consciousness. Walker's breakthrough came when he realized they didn't need to fully understand the technology to use it. They just needed to teach it to understand them. Using a combination of human neural interfaces and adapted Krex biocircuits, his team created a hybrid system that could translate human thoughts into commands the ship could understand. The first test nearly killed him. When Walker sat in the modified throne and activated the neural link, the ship's consciousness crashed into his mind like a tidal wave. He screamed, blood streaming from his nose as foreign thoughts and memories flooded his brain. But he held on, wrestling with the alien intelligence until something clicked. The ship recognized him not as Krex but as something new, something it had never encountered before. A human will, burning with the need for justice. The ship began to change. Slowly at first, then with increasing speed. Damaged systems repaired themselves, drawing on resources the boarding teams brought aboard. Human technology was integrated into the alien framework, creating something entirely new. Earth's engineers installed nuclear reactors alongside Krex biofusion cores. Human weapon systems were grafted onto alien hardpoints. The ship was no longer purely Krex or human. It was both and neither. 3 months into the project, they made another discovery. Hidden in the ship's memory banks were star charts, battle plans, and most importantly, the location of every Krex colony and military installation in this sector of the galaxy. The aliens had been careless, assuming their technology was too advanced for primitive humans to understand. They hadn't counted on human stubbornness, on the ability to learn from defeat and come back stronger. Captain Chen stood in the transformed command center, now modified with human workstations alongside the alien interfaces. "What do we call her?" she asked. Walker, still recovering from his latest session in the neural throne, smiled grimly. "Nemesis. We call her Nemesis." The ship seemed to pulse in agreement, its bioluminescent panels flickering in patterns that almost looked like approval. It had been built to conquer, programmed for destruction. But under human control, it would serve a different purpose. Not conquest, but retribution. Not empire building, but a message that would echo across the stars. The Krex had made 2 critical errors. They had underestimated humanity's capacity to adapt and overcome. And they had left behind the very weapon that would prove their arrogance was misplaced. As Earth's engineers made the final modifications, installing the last of the human systems and weapons, everyone involved knew what came next. The Krex thought humanity was finished, reduced to scavenging in the ruins of their world. They were about to learn that humans didn't just survive. They evolved. They learned. And they never forgot. Walker ran his hand along the neural interface, feeling the ship's consciousness humming beneath his fingers. It was ready. They were ready. The Krex had left them broken and bleeding, but they had also left them something else. They had left them angry, and there was nothing more dangerous in the universe than a human with nothing left to lose and the means to strike back. The reckoning, 6 months after the discovery of the derelict, humanity's hybrid warship launched from the hidden shipyards of Luna Base. The vessel that emerged was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Where once there had been smooth Krex biometal, now there were angular human modifications. Missile pods jutted from organic hull sections. Railguns were integrated into living weapon systems. The ship was a chimera, a fusion of 2 civilizations' approaches to war, and it was magnificent in its terrible purpose. Commander Thomas Rodriguez had been chosen to captain the Nemesis, not for his rank or experience, but for his unique qualification. He had lost everything to the Krex. His family, his home city of Mexico City, his entire world had been reduced to radioactive glass. That loss had burned away everything except purpose. When he sat in the neural throne, the ship didn't just accept him. It resonated with his fury. The crew of 300 were all volunteers, all survivors who had lost someone to the invasion. They moved through the hybrid corridors with grim determination, operating systems that were part touchscreen, part organic interface. The ship responded to them not as users, but as partners in vengeance. Their first target was a Krex monitoring station at the edge of the Sol system. The aliens maintained it to ensure humanity remained contained, broken, unable to threaten the Empire's expansion. The station's commander, Sub-Prelate Vakth, was reviewing routine reports when his sensors detected an approaching vessel. The signature was impossible. It read as both Krex and something else, something that shouldn't exist. "Identify yourself," Vakth demanded over the communication channel. The response came in perfect Krex battle tongue, learned from the ship's own databases. "This is the vessel you abandoned. We have come to return it." Before Vakth could respond, the Nemesis opened fire. Not with standard Krex plasma weapons, but with human nuclear missiles modified with stolen Krex shield penetration technology. The station's defenses, designed to counter known threats, couldn't adapt to the hybrid assault. Within minutes, the monitoring station was debris, and the Nemesis was already jumping to hyperspace, using the Krex's own navigation systems to plot a course deeper into enemy territory. News of the station's destruction reached the Krex frontier colonies within days. The response was confusion, then disbelief, then growing concern. The Empire sent patrol vessels to investigate, sleek predator ships that had terrorized dozens of species. They found the Nemesis waiting for them near the ruins of the station. The battle was brief but decisive. The Krex vessels fought with practiced precision, their plasma beams and biotorpedoes seeking the hybrid ship's weak points. But the Nemesis fought with human unpredictability merged with Krex power. Rodriguez used tactics no Krex commander would consider, deliberately taking hits to lure enemies into kill zones, using the ship's regenerative hull to absorb damage while human missile swarms overwhelmed enemy point defenses. When the last patrol vessel exploded, Rodriguez ordered his communications officer to broadcast a message on all Krex military frequencies. The message was simple, recorded in the Krex's own language. You came to our world uninvited. You killed our people without mercy. You left us to die in the ruins. But you made one mistake. You left us alive, and you left us your ship. The Nemesis cut a path through Krex space like a surgeon's blade through flesh. They hit supply depots, communication relays, and military outposts. Each strike was precisely calculated for maximum psychological impact. The hybrid warship would appear, destroy its target with a combination of human and Krex weapons, broadcast its message, and vanish into hyperspace before reinforcements could arrive. The Krex Empire, which had conquered dozens of worlds without significant resistance, found itself facing something new, not just resistance but adaptation. The humans weren't just using captured technology. They were improving it, combining it with their own innovations in ways the Krex had never imagined possible. At Station Omega-7, a major Krex fleet depot, the Nemesis faced its first real test. 20 Krex warships waited in ambush, commanded by war prelate Zorax himself. The trap was perfect, the firepower overwhelming. Any conventional vessel would have been vaporized in seconds, but the Nemesis wasn't conventional. Rodriguez dove his ship straight into the enemy formation, a move so insane no Krex commander would have anticipated it. At point-blank range, the human railguns tore through Krex shields while the ship's bioregenerative hull absorbed tremendous punishment. Then Walker, still connected to the ship's consciousness through a portable neural link, did something unprecedented. He turned the ship's own damaged sections into weapons, ejecting them as guided projectiles that detonated with nuclear force. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it ended, Omega-7 was gone, along with 15 Krex warships. The Nemesis limped away, badly damaged but still functional, its hybrid systems already beginning repairs. The message had been delivered, but Rodriguez knew the real test was coming. The Krex homeworld had dispatched their Grand Armada, 200 of their finest warships led by the Emperor himself aboard his flagship, the Infinite Dominion. They would intercept the Nemesis near the conquered world of Kepler 442b, where the Krex had built their forward command base for this sector. The final battle would be remembered across the galaxy for generations. The Nemesis, alone against an armada, should have been instantly destroyed. But Rodriguez and his crew had one final innovation, something they had been preparing since they first activated the ship. They had learned not just to use Krex technology but to corrupt it. As the Grand Armada closed in, Walker activated what they called the Resonance Protocol. Using the neural link, he sent a signal through the Nemesis that reached out to every Krex ship in range. It wasn't an attack on their systems, but on the very principle of their technology. The bio-neural interfaces that gave the Krex their advantage suddenly became a liability as human thoughts, human emotions, human fury flooded through their networks. Krex commanders screamed as foreign concepts crashed through their minds. Concepts like sacrifice, like fighting when victory was impossible, like choosing death over submission. Their perfectly ordered battle formation collapsed as ships began firing randomly, their biological systems rebelling against their operators. In the chaos, the Nemesis struck. Every weapon fired, every system pushed beyond its limits. The hybrid warship carved through the confused armada like a blade through water. The Infinite Dominion itself, pride of the Krex Empire, found itself facing the vessel it had once commanded, now transformed into something unrecognizable. The Emperor's last transmission, before his flagship exploded under combined nuclear and plasma fire, was broadcast across the Empire. We were wrong. The humans, they don't just survive. They become. The battle ended with the Nemesis barely functional, held together more by determination than technology. Of the 200 Krex warships, only 30 escaped to spread the tale of what they had witnessed. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer prey. They were something new. Something the galaxy had never seen before. A species that could take the very weapons used against them and transform them into something greater. Rodriguez, blood streaming from the neural interface, managed one final broadcast before the Nemesis jumped back toward Earth. This is humanity calling. We did not seek war, but war found us. We did not wish to become weapons, but you forced our hand. Let this be known to all who would threaten Earth. We learn. We adapt, we survive, and we remember. The Krex Empire never again entered human space. Other species watching from afar took note. The humans had done something thought impossible. They had taken alien technology, merged it with their own, and created something entirely new. They had turned defeat into victory through sheer determination and ingenuity. The Nemesis was retired upon its return to Earth, transformed into a monument and museum. But its legacy lived on. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy not as conquerors, but as survivors who would never again be victims. They had taken the worst the universe could throw at them and thrown it back harder. The age of human expansion had begun, but it would be different from the Krex Empire's path. Humans offered partnership, not subjugation. They shared their hybrid technology, showing other species how to adapt and improve. The galaxy had expected humanity to seek revenge. Instead, they sought something far more powerful: respect. And they got it.